Hello, welcome once again to Lehto's Law. I'm Steve Lehto. One of the most common phone calls I get at my office is kind of disappointing because it's not something I can help you with, but I get the phone call all the time. And the transaction almost always goes the exact same way. So we've all been involved in this transaction, whether it's gone badly or not, it's another thing altogether. But the problem is when it goes badly, there's nothing an attorney can do for you. So the phone call goes something like this. I pick up the phone. Someone goes, hey, I got a quick question for you. I go, what's that? They go, I just bought something from a guy. It could be a neighbor. Could have been at a garage sale. Could have been you're driving down the road. You saw it for sale by the side of the road. Could be you responded to something on Craigslist. Could be something that you saw listed in some other classified. But the point is that you bought something from a stranger. And here's the important thing. The stranger is not a merchant. The stranger is just a guy or a gal selling something. And I've heard of people who said, I bought a used car from somebody, or I bought a used refrigerator from somebody, or I bought a used lawnmower from somebody. And it's almost always stuff that's a little bit more expensive. That if you bought a used riding lawnmower and you spent $500-600 on it, and now it doesn't work. Yeah, I can see being ticked off about that. I can't imagine you're too bothered if you bought something in a garage sale for $5 and it doesn't work. But I get these phone calls and these emails quite regularly, and people say, I bought this thing from a guy and it doesn't work. And in my story, a guy could be a gal. I'm simply talking about an individual who's not a merchant, but he is a stranger to you, okay? I've already warned you about buying or selling between relatives, okay? And you have to understand, I've got 5 brothers, and I'm the youngest of 6. And we buy and sell things amongst ourselves all the time, okay? But I also know that when my brother sells me a used leaf vacuum, my brother sold me one last year. I brought it home. He goes, Steve, here's how you start it. Put the gas in, boom, 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 boom. First start, it's going to pull. I guarantee it. Guess what? It did. And I don't have to worry about the remedy I have with my brother because he's never misled me, at least not so far. And I'm not that young. So the point is that with a stranger, you obviously don't know who you're dealing with. If they, for all you know, use this tractor for daily transportation to and from the party store to go get beer. I don't know. By the way, I mentioned to somebody recently that in Michigan we call them party stores. And in other parts of the country they have other names for them, like convenience stores or liquor stores or beer stores. But we call them party stores here. We have a more optimistic view of what's going to happen to the beer or the liquor. But, you don't know what this person did with this thing. And so when people call me and say, Steve, I bought this thing from a guy and I brought it home and it doesn't work, I have to say, well, there's a couple legal problems here. One of which is you bought something from an individual. That means you're buying it as is, which means you're buying it with all faults. And you're buying it, literally, that's what you see is what you get. And I've had people say, well, Steve, there's some states where you can't sell something as is. No, merchants can't sell something as is, or a used car dealer might not be able to sell something as is, but an individual, by definition, is not a merchant. And the merchantability, the implied warranty of merchantability, is what a merchant gives you that makes something not as is. So until that happens, it's as is. So if you buy a used lawnmower from the guy down the street, as is. Used refrigerator at the garage sale, as is. The leaf vacuum I bought from my brother, as is. Now, the difference is, I know my brother, I trust my brother. And by the way, if I called him back to Dave, I can't get it to work, I would have gotten a refund. I'm 99% certain on that one. But I've never had to ask. But so here's the thing. If you are going into a transaction, buying something from somebody you don't know, and it's not a merchant, you have to tell yourself, I am buying this as is. And since I'm buying it as is, with no warranties, what you see is what you get. I need to confirm right now that it's worth the money I'm spending on it. Now, here's the thing. I'm not talking so much about cars today. I've talked before about buying cars from individuals. I'm sure I've probably covered it in more than one video. I'll just put a link to that in the description below. Let's talk about a lawnmower. Okay? Guy has a lawnmower sitting right there and goes, yep, bought it a year ago. Took good care of it, used it 10 times, but other than that, a couple tanks of gas. This thing is a fine lawnmower. It'll run as long as the day is long. And you go, oh, okay. Now, you could just pick that thing up, put it in your car, and drive off with it after paying the guy the money. Or you could actually say, can I see it run? Oh, okay. Has it got gas? Has it got oil? Pull it, see what happens. Does it start? I've spoken to people who've bought things that they didn't even test. Now, you might say, Steve, how can I test a refrigerator? Good question. Why are you buying something you can't test? I'm not kidding. There's the refrigerator's out in the garage just sitting there. You could say, I don't know, can we plug it in, see if it works? If they say no, you might say, that's kind of weird. I can't test to see if this thing works. For all I know, this thing's going to be a big, heavy box I drag into my house. It doesn't actually make things cold, okay? So whatever it is you're buying, it's on you to inspect it, to see if it works, and see if it's worth the money you're paying for it, and to see if it's worth the risk you're taking when you buy something as is. So no warranty merchantability. You can't go back on the person. Now, here's the thing. Let's say I sold you a riding lawnmower. And I told you, and I said, hey, look, the thing runs great. I used it for 2 summers, but, quite frankly, I'm sick of it. I pay someone else to cut my lawn. It's yours, half price right now. And you say, okay. And you buy it. And you load it on your trailer. You go home. You roll it off the trailer. You try to start it. Won't start. Won't start. You take it to the dealer, and the dealer goes, this thing's got a cracked engine block. It's going to cost a fortune to fix. Quite frankly, it's cheaper to buy a new one. So now you call up a lawyer and go, look, or first you call the guy who sold it and go, hey, look, dude, that thing has a cracked engine block. And he's going to say, even though I don't know the man, he's going to say, wasn't cracked when I had it. You must have cracked it. Standard response. And so you then call an attorney like me and say, hey, Steve, if I may call you Steve. Yes, you may. This riding lawnmower this guy sold me, he told me it ran good. And I put it on my trailer, took it home, and half an hour later, it wouldn't start, wouldn't run, took it to the authorized dealer, and the guy goes, it's got a cracked engine block. I said, okay. You bought it from individual? Yeah, you bought it as is. Why didn't you try starting it at the guy's house? Oh, guy said it ran good. Okay. Never mind the grammatical correctness or incorrectness of the phrase, it ran good. The point is that can you sue that person successfully? Now, here's the thing. If you could prove that the engine block was cracked when the seller had it, and you could prove that the seller knew the engine block was cracked and didn't tell you or withheld the information from you, you might be able to get around and sue them under a theory of misrepresentation because they failed to tell you material facts of the transaction. But I'm hoping you caught the way I inflected those sentences because you have to prove the state of mind or what the seller knew at the moment he sold you the tractor. Now, a mechanic might be able to take that engine apart and go, hey, I am reasonably certain that this engine block cracked over a year ago based on the corrosion and the crack and the way the cylinder looks and blah, blah, blah. I mean, if that was possible to get an expert to say that in court and you could convince a judge of it, yes, you might be able to win that case. But again, let's suppose you bought the tractor for $500. What's it going to cost you to hire an attorney to do that? Probably not worth your time. But you say, Steve, I can sue in a small claims court. Yes, you can. And the first thing a judge is going to ask you is, why didn't you try to fire it up at the guy's house before you bought it? Why didn't you inspect it? Because the Uniform Commercial Code, which governs the law of sales in Article 2 and governs a lot of commercial transactions, but does not govern how you sign things with reservation of rights, another story altogether. But the Uniform Commercial Code, Article 2, governs the sale of goods. And there is some commentary on them that says that if you have the opportunity to inspect something and choose not to, it's on you for the things that you would have found had you looked. The law doesn't protect you if you're not willing to protect yourself. You can't go blindly doing stupid stuff and go, hey, if people rip me off while I'm doing stupid stuff, the law will protect me. No, the law's going to look at you and go, you should look out for yourself. And if you're looking out for yourself and someone robs you, yeah, we'll take care of you. But if you're not looking out for yourself and you're just being willy-nilly with how you spend your money, we're going to not necessarily take that very seriously. So Whether you can win that case in a small claims court setting where you bring in an expert who says, I can guarantee you in my expert opinion that that engine block cracked over a year ago and that man must have known it. Yeah, you might win that. But the point is it worth going to that trouble? And of course the answer is no, it's not. My time's more valuable, your time's more valuable than to spend a morning in court. It's not as fun as people's court. Spending a morning in court to argue over whether or not you can get the guy from the garage sale to buy back his broken lawnmower because you think he lied to you and you were too dumb to test it before you bought it. Okay? So the answer to all of the above is don't get in that situation. Okay? So you're standing at the garage sale, you're looking at the lawnmower, the riding mower, the refrigerator, the weed whacker, whatever it is. You're looking at it going, that's a good price. Well, it's a good price assuming it runs. If it's a good price only if it runs, but it's a bad price if it doesn't run, maybe you should check to see if it runs. Okay? And if it's something that's more complicated than that or something. But the point is, you got to look into this stuff, understanding that the remedies are so difficult. Okay? If you chop your arm off, can surgeons reattach it? Probably. If you get them in time and so on, okay? Your better bet's just not to chop your arm off, okay? So the riding lawnmower looks like a great deal. The used refrigerator looks like a great deal. All it does, and I don't care if the ad says, you have actually print, it says, hey, it runs good. Runs good. They always say they run good. Everybody says it runs good. No one's going to put an ad and say, used refrigerator doesn't work. Come get it for $200. No, I'll haul it away for you for $200. You pay me. Not me pay you. So, again, if you're buying something from a stranger who's not a business, you're just buying it from somebody, lawn sale, yard sale, garage sale, park at the end of the driveway with a for sale sign on it, whatever it is, you're buying something from an individual. It is easier to protect yourself by just inspecting it and looking at it before you buy it than it is to try to unwind the deal legally later. I'm here to tell you that in 27, almost 28 years of practicing law, I have never handled a case where somebody bought something from an individual that just didn't work, okay? I've sued a couple individuals who rolled odometers back, for instance. That's a different story. But just simply the idea that I bought this thing and it doesn't work and I want to sue the individual for that, it's a loser. It's a loser going in. And so the point is to avoid the situation in the first place. So that's how it works when you buy something from an individual, especially something used at a garage sale. Questions or comments? Put them below. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.